Well, it's raining in Yorkshire this afternoon, so we've decided to do some recording inside for a change. 3 poems, all from the anthology Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, set to music, of course, by Andrew Lloyd Webber in his fabulous show. But I always think when you set poems to music, however good the music is, you lose something in the words. So I enjoy reading the poems without the music. I'm going to start with the introduction, the naming of cats. The naming of cats is a difficult matter. It isn't just one of your holiday games. You may think at first I'm as mad as a hatter when I tell you a cat must have 3 different names. First of all, there's the name of the family used daily, such as Peter, Augustus, Alonzo or James, such as Victor or Jonathan, George, Bill Bailey, all of them sensible everyday names. There are fancier names if you think they sound sweeter, some for the gentlemen, some for the dames, such as Plato, Admetus, Electra, Demeter, all of them sensible everyday names. But I tell you, a cat needs a name that's particular, a name that's peculiar and more dignified. Else how could he keep up his tail perpendicular, or spread out his whiskers, or cherish his pride? Of names of this type, I can give you a quorum, such as Monkestrap, Quaxo, Coricopat, such as Bombalurina, or else Jellylorum. Names that never belong to more than one cat. But above and beyond, there's one name left over. This is the name that you never will guess, the name that no human research can discover, but the cat himself knows and will never confess. When you notice a cat in profound meditation, the reason I tell you is always the same. His mind is engaged in a rapt contemplation of the thought of his name, his ineffable, effable, and ineffable, deep and inscrutable, singular nay. And now, let's meet Gus, the theatre cat. Gus is the cat at the theatre door. His name, as I ought to have told you before, is really Asparagus. That's such a fuss to pronounce. We usually call him just Gus. His coat's very shabby. He's thin as a rake. And he suffers from palsy, which makes his paw shake. But he was in his youth quite the smartest of cats, though no longer a terror to mice and to rats. For he isn't the cat that he was in his prime, though his name was quite famous, he says, in its time. And whenever he meets his friends at their club, which takes place at the back of the neighbouring pub, he loves to regale them, if someone else pays, with anecdotes drawn from his palmiest days. For he once was a star of the highest degree. He has acted with Irving, he has acted with Tree. And he loves to relate his success on the halls, where the gallery once gave him 7 catcalls. But his grandest creation, as he loves to tell, was far fra fiddle, the fiend of the fell. I have played, so he says, every possible part. And I knew 79 speeches by heart. I'd extemporise backchat. I knew how to gag. And I knew how to let the cat out of the bag. I knew how to act with my back and my tail, with an hour of rehearsal I never could fail. I'd a voice that would soften the hardest of hearts, whether in the lead or in character parts. I have sat by the bedside of poor little Nell. When the curfew was rung, I swung on the bell. In the pantomime season, I never fell flat, and I once understudied Dick Whittington's cat. But my grandest creation, as history will tell, was Fire thro' Fiddle, the fiend of the fell. Oh, and if someone will give him a toothful of gin, he'll tell how he once played a part in East Lynne. At a Shakespeare performance, he once walked on pat when some actor suggested the need for a cat. He once played a tiger, could do it again, which an Indian colonel pursued down a drain. And he still thinks he can, much better than most, produce blood-curdling noises to bring on the ghosts. And he once crossed the stage on a telegraph wire to rescue a child when a house was on fire. And he'll say, now these kittens, they do not get trained as we did in the days when Victoria reigned, and they do not get drilled in a regular troop. They think it is smart just to jump through a hoop. And he'll say as he scratches himself with his claws, well, the theatre's certainly not what it was. These modern productions, all very well, but there's nothing to equal, from what I hear tell, that moment of mystery when I made history. As Fire thro' Fiddle, the fiend of the fell. Now, the last poem is a poem that was not set to music by Andrew Lloyd Webber. In fact, it wasn't even in the original anthology by Eliot. He published it late in 1962. And for this you need to know that the publishers for T.S. Eliot were Faber and Faber. And their offices were, and indeed still are, a very grand building on the corner of Russell Square in London, in the part of London called Bloomsbury, the area for literature and literati. Hence the reference in this poem to looking after the door in a Bloomsbury Square. Of all the poems in this anthology, I think this cat is my favourite. Here we are then. Introducing, or rather Cat Morgan introduces himself. I once was a pirate what sailed the high seas, but now I've retired as a commissionaire. And that's how you find me, taking me ease and keeping the door in a Bloomsbury Square. I'm partial to partridges, likewise to grouse. I favour that Devonshire cream in a bowl. But I'm always content with a drink on the house and a little cold fish when I done me patrol. I ain't got much polish, me manners is gruff, But I've got a good coat and I'll keep myself smart. And everyone says, and I guess that's enough, you can't but like Morgan, he's got a good heart. I got knocked about on the Barbary coast, and my voice, it ain't no such mellifluous organ. But I can state, and I'm not one to boast, that some of the girls is dead keen on old Morgan. So if you have business with Faber, I'll give you this tip, and it's worth a lot more. You'll save yourself time and spare yourself labour if just you make friends with the cat at the door. Morgan.